with this situation with my son, I was starting to think, how can I really bring a change in place? Is the right way forward stepping out of my comfort zone to take over a different type of job, right? Same company, or do I want to go back to Germany and find a new employee, right? And then to make something similar, but in Germany to be closer with my family. That would mean for myself staying in a certain level of comfort zone still, right? So for me, it was I really want to do something which really brings me on next level, and therefore my clear decision was, even if my friends at this point of time they said you're a crazy guy, right? How can you do so? I was thinking, okay, I need to do something which really helps myself, yeah, and to bring me step up, but at the same point of time bring me closer to my family, yeah, and finally, yeah, supporting my dream to run my own business.
Welcome to Narrative's Leadership Story Talks, where great leaders go beyond the bottom line to create lasting impact. Join hosts Jerome Deroy and Julienne Ryan as they uncover the stories behind real-world challenges, offering practical insights to help you lead with empathy, authenticity, and purpose. Each episode dives into how leaders use storytelling to build trust, foster connection, and inspire action. Whether you're navigating workplace dynamics, driving change, or building high-performing teams.
Welcome to Leadership Story Talks. I'm Jerome Deroy, CEO of Narrative.
And I'm Julienne Ryan, and I'm always happy to be here with all of you.
Yes, welcome back. And before we move on to introducing our guest today, I want to remind our listeners to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review wherever you find your podcast, and check out our YouTube channel as well, the Narrative, N-A-R-A-T-I-V YouTube channel. You can also find episode notes as well as our whole archive of more than 100 episodes at narrative.com/podcast. So now, without further ado, I want to introduce our guest, who is Sascha Schick. Sascha is an experienced entrepreneur and family man, married and father of 2 children. As a certified business informatics specialist, he's built a career that established him as global director for digitalization and IT at Amcor Group, which is how he and I met, actually, a global leader in the packaging industry. Schick is a 2-time founder, including the successful job portal, now I hope I do a good job of pronouncing this, Praktischatz, and a member of the board of directors at PA Median GmbH. He's currently the founder and managing director of AnyHelp Now, GmbH, a platform that simplifies and digitizes access to services. I'm really excited to have you on the show today and to talk about these topics. Welcome, Sascha.
Thank you, Jerome. It's my pleasure to be with you today.
Good. How did I do with that pronunciation of that word?
You did well, right? So it's really in German. It's named Praktisch Arzt, but I think you were very close. So did a good job so far, right?
Very good, very good. I took Spanish in high school, not German, so that was my.
We were going to get your audio clip to include with that, so
Right.
do send that file afterwards.
That's right. That's right. We'll do that. All right. Well, like I said, I'm very happy to have you on the show. Sascha and I go back a little bit because I was running I was part of a leadership development program where I was one of the facilitators and one of the trainers a couple of years ago and the company was Amcor. And I was there to present storytelling and how to use storytelling for leaders. And Sascha and I really had a connection at that point. And then we started working together. And then he went on this new venture. So I kind of witnessed you, Sascha, going from the corporate kind of world to this world of that's more entrepreneurial and the startup world. And so maybe that's where I'd love to start there in terms of what inspired you to make that transition from that corporate leadership role to founding AnyHelp Now.
Yeah, Jerome, you're absolutely right. We met at Amcor at this point of time, and then it took us quite a much longer road finally. But yeah, you straight asked a very strong question because the reason why I quit my job at Amcor is not answered in a just one sentence, right? Because at Amcor, I was quite happy with my job. I had a fantastic team, global responsibility, and I felt like I'm in my comfort zone. So I was, heavily on the road, traveling to different countries, and felt like, I had everything under control. And if you're now asking, what was my main reason for a change? That's a very specific question. As you mentioned also that I'm a 2 times founder. 12 years ago, I did found Practice Arzt, with 2 colleagues, and at this point of time, it was a decision I did, which was it was an additional work next to my main business. I was following up. This time, I was motivated because I had some ideas in my mind, and there was a specific situation which motivated myself to do this job and to quit at Amcor, because I wanted to step out of my comfort zone, and I wanted really to build my own business, to follow my dream, as this was all times in mind at certain point of time, to really found again my own company, and bring my own baby then up to walk, right?
Yeah. What an amazing, of course, I relate to this quite a bit in terms of that experience, because many, many years ago, I left a corporate job to figure out, how I could do something on my own. But I didn't have quite as specific an idea as you did. And I'm curious, because I know it's not like this was an impulsive act, right? It's not like one day you said, I forget there's a movie where there's a guy who comes out of his, the office building, and he takes off his tie and he throws it on the floor, and then he leaves, and that's his last day. And my sense is that it wasn't like that at all for you. As you said, you were quite happy there, and you had a good position, and lots of responsibilities, etc. A great team, but somehow, this was an idea that you'd worked on for a little while. And I'm curious, what was the moment that sort of told you, okay, now is the time?
Yeah, absolutely. It was not because I had to leave for something like this. You mentioned this already. And people around me, they were even shocked as I told them I will quit my job at Amcor. But this little moment was a really special one. As I mentioned already before, I was traveling quite heavily. 95% of my time I was on the road, flying out to Asia, to the Americas, or traveling in Europe. And then there was this time of Corona, where Corona hit us very strong. And from one day to the other, we had to travel ban. And I was not really used to such a type of a setup. Mentioned already, I have a family, I have 2 kids, and this point of time, the first time in my life with my family, I was staying with them 4 5 months in a row together. And I was really thinking about to may change something in future, but I did not had this big bang thing with me. I had some ideas in mind, because I really like to think entrepreneurial directions. So at this point of time, I was thinking maybe to build a platform for doctors, right? Or to bring a trading platform for NFTs, non-fungible tokens, in place, or doing something different. But then after Corona, ban was getting released a bit, I was traveling again, or was before traveling again. There was a special moment, Jerome, where I was at my door, right? And my son, he was 6 years at this point of time. He was coming to me and said, "Hey, Daddy, you need to tell me that you will not stay so long away from us like in past." And Jerome, trust me or not, I was really shocked. I was really telling him straight without thinking about, for sure, I will promise you, I will do my very best not to stay too long, too far away, like I did the years before, right? And this was a moment where this special situation happened, where I really started to think about if everything what I do is the right thing, straightforward, or if there's a third need for a change, right?
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So it was what he said to you that really sort of provided the catalyst to actually make that move. Yeah, that's I love that kind of story where the personal and the professional meet, and you have to make a decision. You're sort of, do I continue along, or do I kind of go more towards this personal kind of emotion that I'm feeling towards my son, what he said, etc. And that's what you chose. And at the same time, I know this is also dear to you. You mentioned a few times this term, the comfort zone. And I know that that's something for you that you actually kind of enjoy leaving your comfort
Mhm.
zone. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that, about this kind of, what's it like for you? What's that sort of, why is that? Do you think that you've got this need to, or this desire to, hey, it's getting a little comfortable here. Let's see if I can do something a little more uncomfortable.
Right, right. No, that's true. And that was not first time where I stepped out of my comfort zone, because at this point of time, I was 39 years old, right? And I was thinking, really, because of this special situation, I waked up and was thinking, hey, what's next, right? Because sometimes you are in a rush, and then you just do things what you do all time in a row, right? But there I was thinking, okay, is this really where I want to be in future? What is my future finally? Where do I see myself in 3 years and 5 years? And yeah, my decision was, yeah, that I could stay with this corporate. Yeah, I had a great job, like you already mentioned. But is this really the end of the story? Really, then to do the daily job and do what I did the last couple of months or years? No, I had to do something different. And because I had this special, let's say, setup in my mind, I think there was a certain moment necessary that pushed me, yeah, to putting finally this decision in place. But the
Mm,
truth is, I did not had in my pocket straight the idea of any help now, right? So
Mm.
with this situation with my son, I was starting to think, how can I really bring a change in place? Is the right way forward stepping out of my comfort zone to take over a different type of job, right?
mm,
Same company, or do I want to go back to Germany and find a new employee, right? And then to make something similar, but in Germany to be closer with my family. That would mean for myself staying in a certain level of comfort zone still, right? So for me, it was, I really want to do something which really brings me on next level. And
mm,
therefore, my clear decision was, even if my friends at this point of time, they said, you're a crazy guy, right? How can you do so? I was thinking, okay, I need to do something which really helps myself, yeah, to bring me a step up, but same point of time, bring me closer to my family, yeah, and finally, yeah, supporting my dream to run my own business.
Your son being very insightful in that, speaking up, he was on a mission for his own interpretation of comfort. So I think he was an excellent management coach, and gave you insight. And he's one of many we've heard on these podcasts where the young voice was the one that kind of captured the scenario and gave the parent a call to action and consideration to think about. So I think it's always wonderful to hear those, how young wisdom helps a lot too.
Yeah, absolute, Julianne. That's really the truth. And I have there quite nice and funny part, which I always explain. I said, yeah, this was first time that I was staying, yeah, 4, 5, 6 months in a row with my family. And then the funny part is all times explaining, hey, I had a wife, 2 kids. I'm still married after 6 months staying with them together because never happened before, right? But yeah, you know what? Sometimes you need to think about what's the real important thing in your life, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my motivation was not to say I want to work less harder, or I want to be closer to family and find something which is, yeah, it's a not, don't get it wrong, but a normal job which I can do 9 to 5, right, without any responsibility. I really wanted to bring two things together. Some people are
Mm,
calling me the businessman. I call myself, I'm the family man, right? And I really want to bring two things together. I want to stay closer with my family, right? And same point of time, I want to get out of my comfort zone, and therefore to found my own business was exactly the part which then I was focusing on. And yeah, with this decision, yeah, I did talk to certain people because 12 years ago, yeah, I just started a business, right, without being really prepared. But with all the experience and yeah, thanks to Amcor, thanks to all the mentors I had, right, I this time prepared this whole story much more wider and built a list of people which I believe could support me on my way forward, yeah, to bring a business from zero, yeah, to hero, so to say, yeah, and bring a startup in place with different roles and responsibilities. Because at Amcor, we were clear structured. We had clear roles, responsibilities, like a corporate does, right? And a startup need to be super flexible, innovative, right? And you have not the option like with a big corporate, but yeah, I really want to bring the two elements together. And then I build a list of my people I believe, yeah, I need them to be successful in this new business. Responsibilities in the area of finance, yeah, of sales and marketing, of digitalization and IT and so on and so forth. And I was thinking, if my A team would be not crazy enough to join me, right? I need someone who is then in the same, let's say, area, my number 2, my number 3, yeah. And I reached out then to the A team. And I gave them a ring and said, hey, my friend, it's Sascha calling. Just want to inform you. And it was true, right? Just to inform you, I took a clear decision. Yeah, I want to change, right? And I want to bring my own business, yeah, into a setup where I need you and I see you as responsible for finance and controlling. How does it look like? What do you think, right? You know what? Everyone was telling me, you're crazy. Why are you doing this, right? And I was saying, look, yes, I may crazy, yeah, but the decision is ticked, right? So you have 14 days, right, to think about and give me an answer. And I fully accept if you say no, right? Because it's really a crazy decision. But yeah, I'm now 39, right? I want to do it now. Why not now? Then yeah, there will be not a better timing in future. And the funny or the serious part was 24 hours later, my A team, 4 people, they ticked the box and said, if you are so much crazy, we will join you, right? We will really join you because there must be something behind, right? And with that, yeah, I had the power finally, because it's not just a one-person thing, I believe, right? Don't want to go with a one-man show, right? It's a team thing, which motivated me in addition then to go this path, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that part of your journey because I think there's a few myths that I've seen around startups and startup life and entrepreneurs, and that is that it's kind of like drop out of university, start a tech company, become a billionaire, and it's the sort of genius person, right? That's one of the myths out there that's been kind of cultivated, that there's one, usually a man, one man who's got this brilliant idea and leaves a promising, career or college path and starts this thing, right? And there's been movies and things like that, and it doesn't always end well, right, as we know. So but then the vast majority, as I've been looking into this more, are stories like yours, actually, where it's people with experience who've kind of had a deep knowledge of an expertise of a certain area, like you did, in digitalization and transforming the digital landscape, especially in Germany where this is all happening. And then you knew people, you had a network of people. So you didn't sort of go in, I'm going to do this on my own. You're like, no, these are the 4 people I need. And that's who I have to convince first, right? So I think for people who are listening, this is really, to me, I know that it's comforting, that it's kind of like, it's not all about me. And it's really about the team and who I can bring together. And if they are convinced by my idea, then it just reinforces the fact that it's a good idea. Now there's 5 of us instead of just 1 of us. So just wanted to sort of comment on that because, it's a little bit of a different story. Go ahead, Julienne.
I think it would be really helpful for Sasha, for you to bring to life your concept,
Mm.
because it wasn't like you were starting an accounting firm or something that was a little more linear in a box. So for the American audience, for everybody else, the nuances of the environment that you're working at and why this was also a unique concept that you're pitching, like, let's see if we can pull this off. So, bring that to life. And I think that would give another layer of what your team, and there is an A-Team movie TV show years ago in the 90s. I don't know if you're aware of it. We'll talk later.
Sure.
But but to explain what this is and why it was brilliant, but also a risk on many different levels.
Mm.
No, absolute. Look, you mentioned important things. You could have the brilliant idea, but in my particular case, I'm not sure if I had the brilliant idea, because as we were coming together, right, I had three ideas which I discussed with that team. They all
Wow.
had experience. They all were bringing their own views in place. But then, our decision making finally was linked to the need, right? The need in the market, because I was getting crazy. Yeah, I was all times coming home, right, from business trips. Yeah, Saturday morning, jet lag, and my wife was welcoming me for sure, and my family too, right, my kids. But then she was saying, "Hey, honey, and there's something not working in the house, right? Oh, by the way, you need to change your wheels from the car because of you didn't make it happening the last 2 weeks." Or, yeah, there's something in the garden what you have to do. And I was thinking, sorry for that. What the hell, right? We can order products globally anytime, right? But if it comes to services, to order services, not sure in detail how it is in the US, right? But in Germany, there are even categories of service like craftsman service, where it's so hard to get someone, right? And then if you will have someone on the phone, right, it will, you have to wait for weeks or months before these guys are available. And I was thinking, we need to find a way to change this, right? To bring really an impact in place, because that's really something important. And then I started with the team together they did a very detailed analysis of the market situation, and we identified, hey, there are some niche players for craftsman service only, for cleaning service only. And I said, no, that's not what we want to do, a second craftsman service platform or whatever. We need to find something different, something really which is bring all these elements together, not just a brilliant idea of a next technology, but let's use what exists and bring this into one, like a one-stop shop for any type of service you can go to, right? Like the Amazon for the service industry. And
I'm
having said,
laughing because, I'm so sorry. As
yeah,
a New Yorker, born and raised, when you have a house, we all need a guy. You know,
Mhm.
yeah,
when you're trying to multiply that person, the same concept of Amazon, but it could be a woman too sometime, but you need that guy that can
right,
do
Mhm.
stuff that
right.
won't cost it like an entire, year's mortgage. So you have to wait forever. So I think that's great to be able to kind of look at like, where can I find a human that can solve these problems for me and for my wife and family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we did, even we tried to identify some USPs for sure, because we don't want to copy and paste and bring this together in one, right? So in Germany, it's very crazy because everything is getting higher priced and everyone needs to look how to somehow survive, right? But we have an old generation, or the generations are getting much older, right? And so much very skilled people. So what we did is we developed a concept where we have, as a service provider, not just only companies. We have also, we call it the helpers, right? Private people, individuals, who can offer their experience, their help, right? And earn some money, to offset certain parts on their income side, and same point of time for the end consumer, right? To not need to wait for weeks before someone comes and help you out in your house or in your garden, right? And having said this, was the starting point of this whole idea of Any Help Now, where today Yeah, we have the clear target to be the number one and go-to platform if it comes to any type of service, any support you need, right?
Yeah. Thanks for describing the service. And one of the things that struck me as well is that, and it's just as you said, Julienne. I mean, I think this is kind of worldwide, right? We at least certainly in the Western world, we certainly feel that kind of urgency of, I don't know how to do this myself, or I don't have to do this. I don't have the tools or whatever to do it myself. Time, and now I have to find someone, and how long does that take, just finding someone? And then when you do, that person isn't available, and then they need a deposit, or they need this, or they need that, And so yeah, so by that time your problem has multiplied probably, and it's going to cost you even more money. So those are all the things that Any Help Now sort of cuts down on, right? And makes it so much easier to find and to be able to make life a little bit easier. So I commend you for this, and I think it's a wonderful concept and wonderful platform. And we'll certainly have the links to Any Help Now in the episode notes as well, if people want to learn more about it. One thing that yeah, go ahead, Julienne. I see your hand.
And I was saying there's another layer to this, is safety and trust that you're getting somebody legitimate. Like, I grew up in neighborhood Queens where there was Fritz Gunther down the street who had every non-mechanical tool, but he was out of his house like a shot if he thought anybody needed help. But you need that trust person that when they come into your home, in your environment, that you're vetting them and then somebody's approved them or somebody's had a conversation. So that's another layer I was just curious about. And then we'll go back to Jerome's question.
Sure. Trust, I think, is the most critical part on this whole story. As we were studying, yeah, our competition, all these niche players, right? So if you check their platforms, they did not really highlight the service providers in a full picture way, right? There was a question answer session, and finally you will get some quotations from service providers you never heard or you never have seen before, right? And we said, look, we need to change this. We want to be open. Yeah, I oftentimes call it the booking.com, right? Which is a big platform in Europe, right? Where you can order some hotel rooms and stuff like that. Yeah, where you can see the hotel, you see the room, right? And then you do a decision depending on what you have in front of you, including, yeah, let's say, the experience from others who brought a rating system in place and told how they liked it or don't liked it in past, right? So we said we want to be in the same way transparent, yeah, that people start getting, yeah, trust, yeah, that they feel comfortable and that they see how others were rating the activities and then being in position to do their decision depending on these parts, right? Which, yeah, in the beginning, yeah, may not the easiest way to go forward, right? But now we feel more and more that quality, not pricing all the time, not the price is the center of everything in my view, right? Yeah, it's the quality and the trust, because if you trust a guy, right, like you said, Julienne, right, then you may well order the guy again because he did a great job. And if you see that others put a great reputation in place, you feel more comfortable. And that's really something important, right? And then if you can sell this in a way that you can bring this service in, simple ordering, but also simple payment, yeah, like online shopping. Yeah, so I said on day one, we need to make it simple and easy like online shopping. And people were looking at me and saying, what do you mean, right? I said, yeah, with a one click, there are platforms you can, with one click, buy something and next day you get it, right? And I said, the same you will do at Any Help Now, right? And I want to see the service providers popping up like at Uber or Bolt, right? So you enter something and then you see, hey, this guy is available. And they were looking again at me even more that I'm the craziest man in the world, right? And they were right, because if you go on the platform and you want to order some shoes, right, some Nikes, it's easier than if you go to a platform, say, hey, I need something for my gardening activities, right? But if you bring these services in place, like a package, like a service which is clear described, then we are not at a one click today, right? But with 3 clicks, we're already in position today to order certain services, which comes very close, right? And that's the motivation, back to what Jerome mentioned, right? Yeah, I don't want to stay in a comfort zone copying something from others and try to make it a bit better. I really want to make it bring it to a next level, like a combination between this Amazon thinking for products and services combined with Uber and with a transparent picture of booking.com. That's how I see it, and that's where we're working on. And yeah, tell you, I'm not having less work since I took this decision. I'm even working much more and much harder, and it feels like 24/7. But yeah, there are two main things which really changed. The one is that I'm closer to my family, even if I'm working harder. And I promised my son that I want to change something. So I had to promise him that every day, 6 p.m., we have dinner together in my house, which is tough still. Anyway, I'm really trying to follow this, right? And the second thing is, yeah, that I was able with this decision to follow my dream. And that's the part where I believe, yeah, stepping out of the comfort zone at a certain point of time is the absolute right decision, because otherwise would not be me, right?
Yeah. And what an example you're showing your son as well, right? It's sort of like, no matter what, at this time we'll be at the dinner table. That's number one. And then number two, this is my dream. I'm pursuing it. So I would imagine that for a child, growing up, seeing a parent do that, it's like, oh, that's possible. That could be possible for me as well, as opposed to, perhaps sticking to something that's very comfortable, very nice, etc. But you're not quite, you're not pursuing that dream. You're not filled with that sense of purpose and meaning. And I'm sure that makes a difference to how they see you.
I believe you're right. Yeah. Because, yeah, I was promising and now I need to deliver against the promise, right? But starting the own business is like a roller coaster drive, right? It goes up and down. And this was for me the real challenge, right? Because I had a very regular, great income, everything was safe and so on. And now I have two things which really challenge me on this stepping out of comfort zone thing, which is I have responsibility for my team. I need to ensure that we can pay them every month. Yeah. And I can tell you that building such a platform is not an easy thing, costs a lot of money. We're talking 7-8 digits, yeah, in euro, right? To just build it, and then you don't earn the money, you just have something in your hand. That's the one. So responsibility on the one hand, and on the other hand, to ensure that this step was done with the right purpose to support my son's wish, right? And this is really which motivates me every day, because a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we were in discussion, yeah, at the dinner, and all times we talk about the day, how was it at school, and so on and so forth. And then my wife was asking my son, hey, you had today at school, you had this discussion about what will be your dream of job you want to be in future. And I was expecting my son comes back and say, hey, I want to be a policeman, a firefighter, or whatever, right? And you know what he said? He said, Mom, I told my teacher, right, that I will be the next CEO of AnyHead now. And look at this. I'm getting really emotional again, because with that reaction, I felt that Maya did something right.
Yeah.
By far, business-wise, not there, because there's a lot to do still, right? But it seems, yeah, coming back to your point, Jerome, seems that, yeah, the decision was done with the right purpose, and I start to deliver, because otherwise he may say, like a typical young one, right? I want to be a firefighter or something else. But he sees what I'm doing. He's
I
not
want to
frustrated.
interview
That's
your
good.
son. He's probably has. Have you been in his room lately? He probably has flow charts, and organizational plan, and succession plan. He's probably nominated all his kids in the class of who's going to be the treasurer and the COO. Boy, you need to sit down with them more. I think
I
there's a
have
lot
to.
there he's not telling you yet.
I have to, my son is the one and my daughter is the other. She wants to make some stories and wants to support us because we are also social media, as you can imagine, for marketing purpose and stuff, right? But that's a different story, right?
Lord.
Yeah, that's great. A family business is being born here. That's great. Well, I'm looking at the time here, and there is a question that I want to get to, and just to transition us, I love what you just talked about, because another one of these things that I see a lot on social media and just in our, even with our guests and the kinds of people we interview, et cetera, this concept of work-life balance comes up a lot. And I think there are certainly when I look online, there are some very fixed ideas about what that looks like. But the truth is that, as you said, you work even more, even harder. And yet you have defined, to me, I mean, you didn't use these terms, this is really mine, but you kind of defined that for yourself, it sounds like. There are certain structures that you put in place. Dinner time is going to be here. That's where I'm going to be at that moment, even if it means I work until midnight afterwards, right? And clearly and I'm closer to my family. I'm not traveling as much, right? And that's, to me, that's also, and I've also seen your posts on LinkedIn when you're on vacation with your family, and you do the work, but you're also having fun with your family too. So it's all possible. And I think there's also, to me, what I'm hearing is that it's not so black and white, right? And it kind of depends on what you're doing, who you are, what works for you. And clearly you've found something that works for you, and it doesn't mean that that's going to work for everyone. So just wanted to kind of comment on that, because sometimes we see these hard and fast rules that are given. This is how you do work-life balance, and no other way. So I love that we've got something that's a little bit different here, and that it's not a one-size-fits-all. But there is one thing, just to go to this question that we ask of all of our guests. We'd love to hear from you to tell us about an experience that has shaped who you are today, that still influences you and informs your work. And of course, you've told us about your son and how that's given you kind of a sense of purpose and meaning, et cetera. But I'd love to hear, about an experience that maybe is still kind of carrying you forward as well.
Yeah, I have a special experience. For sure, there was this special moment with my son, but my special experience, which I do have, is that I do a recap of where I am today and where I want to be every time, once in a year. So once in a year I do so, right? And I was at this point of time in summertime, by the way. I do this in summer, right? There's summer holidays in Germany, 6 weeks, right? And then I do recap, right? And for me, I was at this point thinking, that at a certain point something need to change, right? And I think that's important also for others. You are in such a hurry, you're in such a busy situation often that you don't look left or right, that you just follow, you do it day per day per day, right? And my experience is you need to bring some time and place where you also start to rethink. You're still happy with what you're doing? Is this still right? And then very fast, normally you say yes, 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 you tick the boxes. But sometimes you need to take this serious and think, what would be if I would now do something different and change? And that's what I do have. One time a year I do so. Do I have every year the special moment, Jerome? The answer is no, I don't have the special moment. I do it, I perform it every year. But some years I said, no, it's all right. I go this way. It's great, right? But like I mentioned, there was a special special moment for me a couple of years ago where I took this decision motivated by the situation with my son, or the special situation with my son. And yeah, so I think that's really, everyone needs to have their own their own way how to rethink and then also go forward.
Wow, I love that. And what a great, I know you said you do this in the summer,
Right.
but certainly here in the US, we talk, and I think, in the Western world again, resolutions, right? What's 2025 going to look like, and so forth, et cetera. We get to the end of the year and we sort of take stock of what's happened before. And I think this is, again, one of these things where, hey, it doesn't have to be at the end of the year. It doesn't have to be a resolution. But what a great way to frame that, for those of you listening who are thinking of, okay, what will I be doing in 2025? Where do I want to set my sights on? I think that's a great way to think, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And take some time with it. Take some time with it. Don't just check the box really quickly.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we can take anything for granted. I love that. That's a great advice. Thank you so much, Julienne. Any other thoughts before we conclude?
I mean, my brain was back at 6 weeks vacation, but I was able to refocus on what you were doing. So but it is the whole point of carving out that time to be quiet and to listen and to pay attention. So thank you for that. It's a good reminder, as we all come to the end of this year.
Yeah. Any other, Sascha, any before we end, any other resources or anything you want to leave with our listeners? I know, as I mentioned, we'll put in the links to your website and the platform so people can check that out.
Look, I think, if anyone is interested to go more into the details why I took this decision or what's the best timing for such a decision, then feel free to contact me. I think also some information you will share there, because my takeaway is, there must be a certain situation which opens your eyes or pushes you. But my takeaway is really, there's not a wrong moment for stepping out of your comfort zone and took a decision. And the decision does not need to be such a big one to quit your job, right? Can be also something that you want to adjust or going in a different direction. But don't worry. That's my takeaway. Don't worry. Believe on you, believe in your dreams, and be open and honest to yourself, right? So if someone wants to go more deeper on that one, I will love to talk and to exchange. Did I perform everything right? No, I'm sure there's a lot what I can learn, what I can do better, and may, if I look back, would do different. But you know what? There's one thing which I never will think negative on, and that's the decision. Because you need to decide. If you don't decide, if you don't do it, you would be in 5 years looking back and say, oh shit, I did not, right? So think, recap, and then took your decision, whatever this means for you, and believe in you. That's what I really want to share with everyone, because in this case, that was my way forward.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And as always, thanks, Julienne, for being my co-host and co-listener with me in this podcast. This was really a great interview. Thank you so much, Sascha, and thanks everyone for listening. If you've been inspired by this episode, as I certainly have, there's a lot in this. You can certainly reach out to Narrative and to us, to me and Julienne. We're always happy to listen. We've got many different options for you to learn how to tell a story that really brings to life what inspires you, what's next for you. If you're grappling with these ideas, we've got training programs and one-on-one coaching that can really support you in finding that story that you can put out there and put your best foot forward. So don't hesitate. It's Narrative, NARATIV.com. That's where you can find this podcast and many, many others, and lots of resources. And don't forget that we also have a YouTube channel called Narrative, NARATIV, on YouTube. And that is really it from me. And thanks again, Sascha. Thanks to you, Julienne. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a good
Well,
one.
Yes, use your stories for good. Cheers.
For more information on the narrative listening and storytelling method and how it can help your business, go to narrative.com.